Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Dheer. I am the presidential candidate for the ISA, and I am a mechanical engineering student in my third year currently. And and I'm a student from Kenya.
There, I would also like you to add the details, like what would you would be offering if you get selected. All the candidates who are introducing themselves, please introduce yourself and please add the details like what you would be offering for the students' welfare if you're gonna get selected for the position which you are contesting for.
Sure, thanks, Dwij. So we're jumping right into it.
And
So
time
as
time limit for each candidate. Sorry for interruption. Is 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dwij. So as president of the ISA, my main goal is to advocate for international students. That will always be my top priority. It's to make sure that whenever an international student or a group of international students are facing a certain issue, we are proactively advocating for them. We're reaching out to different levels of the university to sort out the issue. That would be the biggest priority on my end. After that, it's my second priority to ensure that ISA is sustainable and the internal culture is good for students to volunteer for ISA, and we can continue providing the events and services we already do. We are going to be running a referendum in March for an ISAF, which is the International Students Association fee. So it's important for me to make sure that that fee is being used according to what we have proposed and that students' money goes into the right places. We're able to have more events, more services that enhance student life on campus. Those would be my two big priorities. Apart from that, whatever comes up, we work as a team to make sure that we are supporting international students. They're having a good university life and they're enjoying their time.
Thank you there for your introduction. I would now like to request Sabrin Bashar, who is contesting for Vice President Academic Graduate, if she is here. Is Sabrin here present in the meet? No, I don't think so. So let's move forward. Now there are two people contesting for the Vice President Communication undergrad. So first I would like to invite Advik Mehta and Kevin Mulianto for the introduction, please.
Hey, how you doing, everyone? I'm Advik, and Kevin and I are running for VP Communications, and I'm an undergraduate student. I'm second year computer science, and yeah, I'll let Kevin introduce himself.
Hello guys, my name is Kevin Mulianto. I'm from Indonesia and I'm currently a third year business undergraduate student. And our mission is to, I guess it aligns with Deer's mission as well. I guess to make ISA a greater platform for all international students. So what we plan to do is listen and represent international students to our platforms. We plan to make better outreach. We want to improve our social media presence. We want to make more opportunities for students to join the communications team. And we will distribute more scholarship and awards information. And we also want to communicate lower tuition costs to the university. And
I'll just add a few things to what Kevin just said. By representing international students, it's our main goal is to make the communications department a two-way street. So it's not just us advertising events and workshops happening, but we listen to the international students, what they have to say, their concerns, their problems, and we plan to improve social media presence. For example, a lot of Chinese students are very active on the WeChat platform, and we still don't have a WeChat account. So things like that. We're planning to increase our outreach, basically. And yeah, as most people would agree, I don't think the VPs would agree, but comms is the most important department and therefore has the highest strength as well. So we're planning to get as much help as we can from international students, and so a lot of opportunities for the students. And yeah, we plan to work with other departments and also external organizations to uh, organize workshops for financial aid, scholarships, and even connect students with employers. Yeah, that's a few of our goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your introductory remarks. Now I would like to invite Kunal Gupta and Sai Charan Arvapalli, who are contesting for the same position, for their introduction, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dheeraj. Hi, everyone. I'm Kunal Gupta. I'm currently enrolled in first year BSc Computer Science Honors at University of Alberta. I'm contesting ISS general election with my friend Sai Charan for the position of VP Communication to help international students at the University of Alberta. So our core agenda is we would introduce the international student with exciting academics and social events. We would serve international community at the University of Alberta. We will manage ISS social media platform and the website so that it runs effectively without getting hit by any technical issues. We would make sure that we would post relevant contents and information over ISS social media platforms. And we would help in delivering the concerns of the international community to the proper authority in the university management. Thank you. Charan, it's over to you.
Yeah. Hi there, I'm Charan. And sorry, not the background because my PC is having some issues and I cannot have the background. And I would say that we would, like me and Kunal will definitely make sure all the students get proper info about the university and what are the events going on in the university, connected by ISA and all. And we'll also make sure we'll always keep them new updates. And that's how like we'll work so that most of them are like connected to the university and to us. Yeah.
Thank you, Sai Charan, for your introductory remarks. I believe the Sabrin Pasha is over here in the meeting, the candidate who is contesting for Vice President Academic Graduate. So I would like to invite Sabrin Pasha for their introductory remarks and what would they offer if they are selected for the position they are contesting for.
Hi, I'm Sabrin Bashar. I'm a first year PhD student at Pediatric Department. So at present, I'm as director position and graduate affairs department. So I have already knowledge like how the department is working and how to communicate with students or arranging the events. So I am hopeful that if I get this position, I will justify it and I will work for the international student in my best. Yeah.
Thank you, Sabrin, for your introductory remarks. And now I would like to invite the candidates who are contesting for Vice President External. And I would like to invite Jashan Mahal and Charvi Dhamija for their introductory remarks.
Thank you, Dweej. Hi, everyone. My name is Charvi Dhamija. I am a second year international student at the UFA, and my program is Bachelor's of Science, specialization in computer science. I am running for the position of Vice President External along with Jashan Mahal. And I hope Jashan Mahal will join us soon because she has her co-op term and she's currently in a work meeting. And for my agendas, I'm going to quickly share my screen with you guys so that you can see it. Just a minute. Dweej, can I share the screen?
Yes, please go ahead if you like, but the time limit remains the same for Andy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. So this is Jashan, the co-VP. She is a fourth year undergrad student in the Faculty of Arts, majoring in Psychology Honors. And she has been actively involved in ISA for more than a year and is currently serving as the Arts Counselor and the External Relations Officer. And that's me. I told you already, and I'm currently serving as the Strategic Planning Officer in the Office of the President and the External Outreach Coordinator in the Department of Internal Relations. Yeah, we're running to be our next VP Externals for the academic term 2022 and 2023. And our first agenda is to unionize with International Students Association from all across Canada to advocate for better immigration pathways, tuition reduction, and government-based scholarships. Now, this has already been done by our current VP external, like the unionization has already been formed. So we'll be further, like the groundwork has already been done. So we'll further work on the current issues that international students face. Our second agenda would be reviewing services for international students and finding ways to optimize them. We'll be closely collaborating with the University of Alberta International by offering them direct student feedback and suggesting modifications and resolving accessibility barriers. And how we plan to achieve this? We plan to achieve this by our fourth agenda, actually. We'll consult and take constant feedback from students on various programs and services that directly impacts them. We'll achieve that by having drop-in one-on-one virtual sessions or office hours, and also conducting regular frequent surveys. This will establish a point of communication between ISA and concerned students. And our third agenda is to tackle homesickness and promote a diversity-conducive environment on campus. We already have great relationships with many regional groups, and we plan to uphold them. And this we'll also provide infrastructural assistance to them.
30 seconds, please.
Okay. And our last agenda is promoting representational intersectionality in our advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your introductory remarks. Now I would like to invite Mohit Sinha and Sabha, who are contesting for the same position.
Great. So my name is Mohit and I'm the current Vice President Communications of ISA. I also represent you all as a counselor in the General Faculties Council, which is the highest decision-making body at the University of Alberta. I have been an ex-counselor at Student Union, and the reason why I decided to run with Sabha, and Sabha couldn't come today because she's at work, she's in a co-op term, and this is work hours, so she couldn't come today. But the reason why I decided to run is because as VP Communication, I heard problems of students, of what they're facing, and that requires advocacy. And I want to kind of participate in this process and like add to it. And also I have the agendas that I'm going to share with you. So I have 3 agendas: lowering tuition fees, and we're going to work with the university to stabilize the tuition fee for international students, because if you might have noticed, like I think last year, a new kind of tuition program came out for international students, and that increased the tuition fee by a huge amounts. Also working with other ISA group, with other like sort of like provinces, and that's like, I think Charvi touched on that, and like, so working with them, and they're kind of at the initial stages. So of course, a lot of work that's going to go is in like building them up so that they can start doing advocacy. So I feel like that would be something that I would definitely be doing if elected with Sabha. And my third agenda is definitely to fight campus loneliness. And like, I think as a Vice President Communication, I was managing 30 people. And whenever I got a new person, I asked them, so why is the reason you're joining ISA, and what is the reason you're kind of joining ISA for? And they told me they want to make more friends. So, and there are like very few events right now that's happening online that can kind of help them make those connections, and we don't know when COVID is going to end. So definitely my third agenda is to create events to make more friends and advocate for that as Vice President External. And that's going to happen through different kind of surveys and understanding what students are actually lacking and what the current events are actually lacking and what kind of events are working, and replicating that kind of structure to making sure campus loneliness can be reduced. And those are my 3 agendas. And my co couldn't be here because she's at her co-op job. That's all for me.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the candidate who is contesting for Vice President Graduate Affairs, and Christina Saeed. Can you please introduce yourself?
Thanks a lot. Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Saeed. I am the 3rd-year PhD student here in pharmacy. The reason that I want to apply for this position, because I'm a grad student, I know how we feel. I know what we are lacking and what kind of events we need. I want to introduce more and make connection between different faculties, because I think graduate students, we don't have like many events that we can gather together. We don't have like kind of events that can guide us regarding scholarships. So I want to help us the most. And also I am my faculty representative, BGCA representative. So I have kind of idea what we really want, and I want to implement that in ISA as well. And we'll be happy to being here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Christiana. Now I would like to invite the candidate who is contesting for Vice President in Finance, and Richard Zio and his friend Lionel Liu.
Okay, I think I will go first, maybe. Okay, so I'm a third-year student in the Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport, and Tour and Recreation, and my program is Bachelor of Arts in Recreation, Sport, and Tourism. We are running for this VP Finance position because both of us have experience in student governance. I've been a member of ISA since pretty much the first day. Since June 2020, I've been counselor. I was elected last year and became the undergraduate chancellor. Richard, if I may talk about him here, or he can talk about himself, but he's a business student and he has the expertise needed for the VP Finance position. Our program, we are running on a common platform for this election, that we want to advance the ISAF if it's passed, that we pledge to fully implement all the sections in there, all the programs to be delivered. But if it doesn't pass, we still would like to be able to finance important programs for international student communities, welfare, diversity, and sorry. Yeah, like no, I'm a little sick today. I've got a fever in the morning, so yeah, to advance our diverse community and like to provide socializing programs, career fair, and like mental health counseling, and yeah, that's what I have to say. If Richard has to make some other points about it.
Thank you, Lionel. So my name is Richard, and I'm a second-year student in finance major. And me and Lionel are the candidates for VP Finance this selection. And if we win a selection, we're going to specify our duty to make sure every job done properly and efficiently. So Lionel will in charge of the asset management and the internal control of the money usage. Now I will focus on to keep a good relationship with our current sponsors, and I was looking for the new opportunities to financing our organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo and Richard, for your opening remarks. Now I would like to invite the candidate who is contesting for VP Internal, Iman Saif and Mubashir Khan, for their introductory remarks.
Hello everyone, I am Mubashir Khan and I'm in my second year in the Faculty of Science, and my program is the Bachelor of Science major in Computer Science. And I'll let Eman introduce herself first.
Hi everyone, I'm Eman and I'm in Bachelor's of Engineering doing Computer Engineering Co-op, and I've been the Internal Communications Coordinator in ISA for the past fall term, and Mubashir has been associated with ISA since September 2020, and he was the Director of Operations in the Internal Department, so we were already a part of the Internal Department. Now I'll pass it back to Mubashir for the agendas.
Okay, so we have two main agendas which we try to fulfill in our term. One is supporting ISA volunteers and getting more recognition for them, as they do a lot of work for us, and it sometimes goes unrecognized. And secondly is the main agenda, which is the iCard program, which was already established by our previous VP internals, and we will look to expand it to even more food outlets and clothing and others if possible. Yeah.
Thank you, you both, for your introductory remarks. Now I would like to invite the candidate who is contesting for VP Student Life, Madina and Nikita, for their introduction.
Hi everyone.
Your voice is echoing, Nikita.
Okay. Is it good now?
Yeah, it's good to go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Nikita. My co Madina couldn't be here because of her lab. And we both are contesting for VP Student Life. Both Madina and I have been heavily involved on campus. She's been involved with ESS, and I've been GFC counselor, and we have also been in ISA before. So for our platform, we want to build new tradition with events such as International Games Day, where you could play games with different culture, and Friends Beyond Campus as Friends Beyond Borders. As we all know, due to COVID, many of us has chosen to stay in their home country, which we think shouldn't be a barrier for them to enjoy university life. So we would plan on hosting such events where people outside Edmonton can join as well. We want to maintain legacy with International Students Day and a new opportunity with students for students to design their own merch and be part of ISA legacy. We also want to unite students around the world with strong collaboration with regional groups, and we also plan to implement diversity and inclusion within and outside our department by having diverse team members, and we so that they could represent their different backgrounds and countries. And we also plan to host inclusive events where not only majority but minority groups could be represented as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Thank you. Here we would be concluding our first round of today's election forum. Now, in the second round, we would be having like candidates asking each other's question who are contesting for the same position. So let's begin by the VP candidates who are contesting for the communications. Here, each group will ask only one question at the first, and if time permits, we'll be allowing more questions to be asked to each other. So first, I would like to request Advik Mehta and Kevin if they want to ask the question to Kunal and Saicharan.
Kevin, do you want to go for it?
Yes. So I have experience in as the president of the Indonesian Students Association. So I know what kind of problems and concerns that we want from ISA to do for our regional group, that is Indonesian Students Association. And also Avik here is also someone who's already joined the ISA as well. He's been doing the newsletters as well in the team communications team. So I would like to ask you guys what kind of experience in the university, especially in the cultural sense, in the international groups that you have experienced before.
Yeah. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Dick. So currently, I'm a first year student. I don't have any experience on campus because when I started the university, it was currently offline and we were doing virtually. But still, I'm part of 2-3 groups in the university. One is INSA, which is an Indian group in the university. While yeah, this is the group I'm only currently member since September 2020. So I don't have any much experience about the cultures and events being organized at the university, since I've already told you that it's my first year and I've just completed my first semester. So
Thank you, Kunal, for this. And now I would like to invite Kunal and Saisharan to ask the question for their counterparts, if they have any.
okay, so I have a question. So Kevin and Advik, I would like to ask what major changes can you give to the Department of Communication if you are elected as a vice president there?
Hello. Well, firstly, from my experience, the communications department is excellent at advertising events that are already happening and workshops that are already happening. But I feel like there should be more interaction between international students and the ISA. So we plan to make it like a two-way street. And like I said in my bio, at the moment, the communications department is more like a loudspeaker that gives information about events, but not like a telephone. It doesn't. There's no input back from the students. So we plan to incorporate that. And moreover, we plan to organize events and workshops working with other VPs like VP externals for international students for financial aid, scholarships, connecting them to employers. And yeah, these are some of the few things we plan to do. If Kevin wants to add something to this.
I just want to add that we're planning to make for example, an Instagram account like the UAlberta students account, where they showcase different students from different backgrounds, their achievements in campus or their achievements outside of campus as well. And we want to make that for international students to showcase the achievements they made and what they have contributed in the campus, so we can represent international students better. And I believe we can work with Gateway or add more positions for that. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you. Yep.
I have a question for Kevin or Edwick.
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
So
now we are allowing others also to ask the questions. Yeah.
So I'm really interested in your idea to build a WeChat platform for Chinese students to participate in our ISA. So my question is that, do you need any people who know Mandarin, or how is that gonna work? How long are you planning to build the platform?
Yeah, in fact, we do need assistance. We've already have a few people who can volunteer, but there are some technical issues where we have to work with a student of Chinese origin or a relative that lives in China for the WeChat account. So we would really appreciate some help if you could provide it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for your question. Now we would be going for the VP external. For the VP external, I would like to invite Jashan and Chavi to ask question to Sabha and Mohit.
Thank you, Dweej. I had a question to Mohit and Sabha. If I understand them correctly, their third agenda was events to fight loneliness and mental health. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so how does that agenda match your portfolio? Because that is more concerned with student life. So how would you bring that into external department?
So it's basically about like talking to students and kind of understanding their problems, like running surveys and advocating like to the student union as well as International Student Association, of course, to create those kind of events which will help fight loneliness. Of course, like we want ourselves will be creating those events, and some events even ISA may not be able to conduct, like maybe student union may have to take that. So whatever like that looks like, and just conducting the surveys and understanding the problem really well that they're facing with the online events. Is it lack of online events, or is it that maybe the online events we have right now is not good enough, or like what kind of models do we need to look at, or maybe what kind of events kind of have worked and maybe we need to promote that. So that kind of is what the agenda is, and definitely we will not be conducting events because that doesn't come in under our portfolio.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Because the one line, the events to fight loneliness and mental health, just reminds me of student life position. It doesn't say advocacy, so I was confused. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Mohit to ask the question for the counterparts.
Yes, so just before I ask that question, I had a question, like how many questions do we get to ask?
It depends upon the time, but you can ask probably 1 or 2 questions right now.
Okay, great.
You prioritize your question accordingly.
Cool. So I have a question, and if we have time, there will be a follow. So yeah, so the question is about one of your agendas that is similar to like what we have about tuition reduction. So I just wanted to touch on the implementation that you're thinking of. And like, so what are the plans for like how do you like intend to decrease tuition considering of course, government budget cuts and pandemic, our economy is suffering, and university budgets, of course.
Thank you for the question. Justin, do you want to go ahead or?
Sure, yeah, I'd like to take that one. So as I think, Mohit, you probably know that we have been working with other universities for the past 2 years to lay groundwork for a united sort of a working group for all ISAs to advocate for concerns like this that we cannot actually advocate on university or municipal level. And I agree with the economy suffering and everything. I think it will be oversimplification if I sort of lay out a plan in front of you. It's something that we need to advocate for. And we have only had one meeting sort of with them, and we voted to have sort of this group. And I don't think we can say we have a plan right now, but I think joining hands with them, that's obviously everyone's first priority to push for tuition reduction. And if I'm allowed, can I ask a similar question? Yeah, as I saw in your agenda, you said that you want to destabilize the tuition fee. Stabilize the tuition fee. And from what I understand, you mean that you want it to stop, like you want to stop the tuition hikes. Mm-hmm. And is that on university level?
For sure. So I think there, yeah. So for sure, let me start with your answer first. Like, so stabilizing tuition fee is definitely the agenda, and it's about, yeah, definitely it's in the university level instead of like. So a lot of times tuition fees get hiked for international students quite exorbitantly, and advocating to stabilize that university fee and even have some sort of fixed rate that students can expect, like maybe 2 or 3% instead of like increasing it by 20 or 30%. And that's basically the agenda. And I also had a follow-up question on that. So in terms of like working with other ISAs to advocate for lower tuitions, so since the tuition is administered by the provincial government, and I'm not sure, I don't think there are like other ISAs in the province itself. So like, how does that tie up? Like, so how, like, you work with other ISAs, let's say like ISA in University of McGill to advocate for tuition decrease in Alberta?
Can I go ahead, Justin?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so our mission is that when we talk about these issues, like the tuition hiking, or let's say other agendas, government-based scholarship or immigration pathways, I feel it's a very hard thing to do at a municipal level, like at University of Alberta at a provincial level. And that's why we need other ISAs to combine with us to form a union. And talking about your question that there are no ISAs in the province of Alberta, we plan to expand this, and we plan to make relations with the University of Calgary, University of Lethbridge, and there's MacEwan University here, there's Concordia University here. So we plan to make the necessary relationships after doing the groundwork. Like the groundwork is already done. So after, like, if we get elected as the VP external, we plan to expand our relationships to other universities in Alberta. Because if we only work out on this issue, it's going to be hard, because a lot of efforts is needed from a lot of people to work on such major issues. And it's not a municipal level issue that we as an ISA can talk about only U of A issue. It's an issue that's not only within U of A, but also other universities. So if we combine the overall effect of other ISAs, it would be a better advocacy. And as you know, the host universities currently are U of A, and the other universities are University of Toronto, University of Ottawa, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Acadia, Brandon, and Bishops. So I think currently we have 8 universities, and this is just the beginning, and we plan to expand this. So that would be at a provincial level in future.
I would like to add something to that, Dwij, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So Mohit, your question is a bit flawed. I think provincial or federal government, they do not actually influence the tuition costs. It's the universities that do. And our plan basically is to sort of put that kind of pressure by joining hands with other universities all over Canada on universities. It's a form of advocacy. It's a form of like joining hands to sort of form of activism, you could say, and communicating with the right people. So I don't think we can actually have that kind of plan with the provincial and the federal government. So I don't know if that question was very right.
Mm-hmm. No,
Okay.
I think I kind of understand what you're trying to say is that you're like, it's, of course this is an agenda, but you do not have the implementation plan for it yet, but you would work for it when you're
This can be closing remarks for this group. Okay. VP external. Last closing remark from you, Mohit, if you want.
Yeah, so for sure, I think I understand that, but I think it's a little far-fetched, like saying like it's just at the beginning and they only had one meeting. And the difference between, for students who are watching this, the difference between in my agenda, what the difference is it's more to it what I have seen is possible. That is around 250 million of budget comes from international students. And if we ask university to decrease it, even with like other ISAs, that's not a complete solution. We have to see what kind of thing will work for them. And that's why I proposed getting that. So $500 million come from alternative sources, that's goods and services, donations and investment, and getting that deficit from there and not putting burden on international students whenever there is a deficit from the provincial level, which I feel is more of a doable thing in my term or in our one-year term. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohit. Closing remarks from your side, Jashan?
Again, as I said, I think the province's economy does not really have a lot to do with the university tuition policies. If you have a plan that is local to the university, I would really like to hear it. How you plan to, who are you going to contact within the university? Which departments are you talking about? If you can give us an idea about that, because I think economy, I think that's a reach. I think going on a provincial level, because we are only promising advocacy, you are planning, you are promising implementation.
Okay, thank you. We'll end round 2 over here. Let's move on for round 3. I would like to ask from the, like, other than the candidates who are present in this meeting, if they would like to ask any questions. Someone from the Facebook Live or someone like you can reach out to us.
Can non-candidates ask questions or no?
Sure. Who's this?
Yeah, I just had a question for Mohit. He actually about the argument with the international student tuition. In my opinion, one of the most important things for all of us international students is the tuition is extremely high, and the idea of having a union all over all over Canada to advocate for us sounds really interesting, and it could do something, but I just didn't understand what his plan was to do at a university level or something with a much smaller scale, because I don't really see the reason why UFA would need to listen to us under any circumstance. They've been increasing it at a really high rate without even considering anything for international students. Whereas if we have a union, then it would be a larger group all over Canada, then there would be a little bit more leverage, in my opinion. That's a question I had for Mohit to see how he would respond to this. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I think, thank you very much for the question. I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm not against what's the union that has been formed. I completely support that. But due to the level of that union's development, it's at a very initial stage. So what I'm trying to say is to expecting it in this year for it to kind of start advocating for something like this, or even get something like this at a level which is possible, is not possible. Is that what I'm trying to say? And second thing that I'm trying to say is that provincial budgets do affect the university tuitions quite a bit, because majority of the budget for university does come from the provincial budget. So if there is a provincial budget cut, everyone's tuitions increase. And what was the other part of the question? Yeah, so I'm not against the unionizing of ISA that has already been done. I do not plan to go in and get rid of it. I do plan to encourage that and get to the point. And if that helps in reducing the tuition fee at our university, then that's great. But what I feel is that what's more successful plan would be to see where the sources of income are coming from and reaching out to those kind of places. Like, for example, as I mentioned, 22%, which is $500 million, which is 2 times what the tuition of all the international students combined is come from universities, goods and services, sales, donations, and investment. And if we work more on that, and if you look into if you advocate more into working on that stream and not focusing on the tuition stream, then we have more, like in a shorter term way, in our kind of 1 year term, we have more success in like getting the tuition reduced or getting more scholarships than to focusing entirely on like other international student association, other voluntary groups, and they coming and like helping us to advocate with the university to reduce the tuition, because in university's decision to reduce the tuition, increase the tuition, and of course like the provincial budget plays a huge role in it, because that's the majority of funds. And I think the number is, I'm not exactly sure, but 30 or 40% of the entire budget comes from provincial budget, which is 4 times all the international tuition budgets combined. So it kind of affects a lot. And I feel like that's my way of trying to advocate and implement it in kind of contrast to the other candidates. And that's important because our agendas are same. So for students to understand what our plan is going to be. And again, just to reiterate, I'm not against the unionized, like the union of all ISAs. I think that's a great job and we should work into it. But just one meeting we had, and for them to come together in 1 year, or like even just like, okay, maybe we can start working on it and we can start doing something, but just in a 1 year term, actually getting some results for students, that's my priority. And I think that's what I was trying to say.
I have a question for Mohit.
Who's this? Can you please say your name?
Rayar.
Okay, please go ahead.
So you're saying that rely on the donations and other kind of sources of income. So those things are not reliable. Let's say 1 year you might get something, and then the other time you're not going to get nothing. And you said there's a big deficit going in millions. You think you'll be able to get even fraction of that amount by doing donations and doing other kind of stuff?
So definitely. So is the question over?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yes, so definitely. So our tuition fee consists of 10% international tuition fee, that's 250 million. And like not just donations, but donations, investment, and sales of goods and services, that's kind of consists of $500 million, which is 2 times the amount. And like in terms of reliability, I mean, we have to kind of work on the reliability. Of course, like we sell stuff and we get students, and even like you can say like student streaming is not reliable if not a lot of international students enroll, right? So I think definitely your point is not completely incorrect, but that's something we have to work on to see definitely how we can increase that amount, because the amount that comes from there is a lot more than amount that comes from us. So when a burden like provincial budget cut comes, why it's like should all the burden go to the students and not try to work into the other streams as well?
I
Thank
feel
you,
like
Mohit.
definitely like this is kind of a lot of reach in a sense, because like you don't have that kind of power or leverage to actually talk about like getting sponsorship or investments of any sort. So
Thank you. We'll go on to next question. Thank you. Chanprit Singh.
Okay.
Sure. My question is to VP Comms candidate Advik. So Advik in his introductory speech told that comms is the most important department. So my question is, now when you think that your own department is the most important department in the whole of the ISA, then how do you expect yourself to be effective in the board when you're working with all other VPs who might think that their departments are best? So my main question is, why would you declare a particular department as the best or most important department, while in ISA every department has its own mandate?
No, you're correct. So what I mean by that is the comms department handles it is basically the platform of communicating between international students and the ISA, and definitely all departments should think they're the best. That I'm actually like I aim to make the VPs think that their department is best. That's what gives them the push. That's what gives them the ability to excel in the department. So what I meant by that was that ISA for my point of view, because I'm a VP comms I'm planning to be a VP Comms. So from my point of view, what I do should be the most important field of and I feel like VP Comms is the path between international students and ISA. It is what connects the two entities, and like no student would directly go to the president or some other VP, but like by what I mean by that is VP Comms is basically the bridge between the students and the ISA board. We are what represent the students' opinions to the board and to the university. So yeah, that's what I meant. And definitely all VPs should consider that department as the best. That's what will give them the motivation to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I would ask Chris for the question.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me here as well to be able to watch all these wonderful speeches. So my name is Chris. I'm a counselor with the Students' Union and GFC. And I just had a question for the VP External candidates. So you folks talked a lot about like unionizing the ISA, or like unionizing the different ISAs across the country and like having like joint advocacy on that. Makes a ton of sense. Like I've chatted with ministers about this. There are a lot of just like policy holes that are like best sorted out when you guys just tell them like, hey, there are things that just straight up don't work in terms of like path to residency and stuff like that. My question is, what support do you folks want or feel that you need from the Students' Union to help you alongside that? And then added on question, joint question, what support cooperation are you guys going to be doing with the Canadian Alliance of Students Associations that also kind of does a lot of that advocacy? Yeah. I don't know which of the VP external candidates wants to go first.
Yes, Jashan, you can go.
Sure. Thank you so much for the question, Chris. Right now, I think we really don't know what kind of support we will be needing with SU, but we already have a good relationship with SU, and we are hoping that we can consult with them about this. And I'm sorry, I'm not very well aware with the Canadian alliances. And
Listen, can I go ahead? I have some knowledge about that.
Okay, yeah, my co-VP does.
Okay, so there's an already established network. Our VP External agreed upon with the Student Union VP External, who is the current chair of CASA. So CASA is an already established body of SUs in Canada, which will give this union the network and reach that is required. So we already have an established thing at the U of A with the SU. So we have the reach required for that. So yeah, if that clears your question.
Thank you. Mohit, you would like to add something for this?
Yeah, for sure. I think Chris' question is very important. I think definitely being it my second agenda, but I'm not exactly sure either what kind of support like this organization that we're building would require, because we had just one meeting, and as we go forward and discuss, I think then we will kind of be able to figure out what kind of support Student Union can provide in terms of maybe outreach or advocacy.
Thanks, Mohit. Thank you. Now, Gurbani, your question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Ciaro. My question is also for both the VP external candidates. And so I just wanted to echo on what Rayar previously said, that you do not have, like when he was talking to Mohit, he said that you do not have the network or reach to implement the fee reduction and everything. So I wanted to ask both the candidates, how do you think the already established union that I've been working on from the past 2 years can help you in that case? And even though, like Mohit mentioned, we have only met once throughout as a union, are you aware of how many meetings in the background have taken place before that? So my question has two parts, basically.
Mohit, you can go ahead first.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the question is about the union of ISA. Could you repeat your question, Gurbani?
Sure. So my question is, like Rayar said, you do not have the network or the reach to implement what you're talking about. How do you think the union that is already established can be leveraged to achieve that? because it's established for a reason in the first place. So I just want to know how you see it fulfilling your campaigning points, and how do you see you can leverage it? That's the first part of the question. And then the second part is, even though there's only been one meeting for the union itself, are you aware about how many meetings have taken place in the background to come to consensus of working together as a union?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a very good question. So what I see this union helping me in my agenda, it's not towards the tuition reduction, because that's more of a university thing, but more towards the, when we talk about federal government advocacy. And that's where like my agenda is to like utilizing this union in more towards that. Of course, like for immigration, visas and other purposes, which is definitely more dealt by the federal government, I believe. And that's where this kind of association can come into play, and not like just it doesn't make complete sense on how this association will go to university and what exactly it will do to reduce our tuitions, because like there has to be some other way where the money is going to come from. And we have to think about that when we are talking about reducing the tuition for international students. We reduce it, and let's say it's 250 million, we reduce it by 10%, and it's 25 million deficit. So where is it going to come from? Maybe is province going to give it, but province is also suffering. So like who is actually going to give this 25, 50 or 100 million dollars? Like those ISAs are of course like voluntary organizing. Are they going to give it? No. Are the university going to give it? No. They're in different province. Other provinces going to give it? No. Like, so like just like by thinking in a very practical point of view, I think it makes sense to like go and advocate and do the activism. But for it to actually happen, like maybe a $50 million reduction in the university budget, like, but where is it going to come from? And that's where I was touching on, and where I see this like organization that has been developed. And I think it's a very important organization. It can help international students all over the Canada a lot. But like where I see it is in, of course, in terms of when we talk about visa, when we talk about flight bans, when we talk about immigration issues. And yeah, that's where I see it, and how many meetings. So of course, like as Gurbani touched upon, that it took 2 years to establish that. And of course, it's going to take like more time to get it running and up and running to the point that it's able to advocate. And I think during my year, a lot of like effort I will be putting on to get it to a level that it's able to advocate for meaningful things. Of course, right now it's just like we had a first meeting. And of course, the second part of the question, do I know how many meetings has been with background, with other kind of, with all these organizations to come together, or maybe to like make meetings together? No, I do not, just because like, yeah, I wasn't very involved with, like I was running the communications department and not the external department. So I'm not exactly sure of the meeting count.
Thank you,
Can
Chavi. Yes, but now as we are towards the closing and we have a few more questions left, the question timing should be 30 seconds and response time should be 1 minute max. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'll tell fast. Okay. So as Justin and I are already involved in every body of ISA, we have a clear understanding of what Gurbani did to establish this ground framework. First of all, the advocacy to KASA, like CASA, it's a student union body, all over Canada, which will give the union the network and the reach that is required. And these things are not done in a snap. There are like many initial proceedings to take. I remember Gurbani did a lot of meetings in summer to actually implement this project, and the meetings were always reported in the board that I remember of. So there were 2 meetings for ISA which were reported in the board, I believe. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of network and reach that we already have established. One is with the CASA, and other we have the student union, other we have the Union of Canada International Associations. So we have multiple networks that we can actually advocate on, and these things are not done in snap. It's not done in 1 year. We have to give in our efforts. And they need to be addressed at a bigger level. And I don't make promises to decrease the tuition in 1 year. Here we are advocating for a longer run. That's why we want to lobby for this imperative issues by forming a union with the Canadians ISAs, and also by having a collaboration with the CASAs, that is student unions all over Canada.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to ask Rana Thin for the question.
Hi, so my question is to candidate Mohit. So I was informed about his run-in with the Students' Union. So like he was elected as a councillor, but due to short attendance, you were not part of the SU council anymore. So do you think that might lead them to your sincerity? And how would that impact the external advocacy of the ISA?
For sure, thank you so much for that question. So the reason why I was not able to meet the attendance was due to my co-op job, and I informed the president of student union about this issue. But I was not able to find a replacement in my place, and that was the prime reason. I'm running for SU again, and I plan to make it so that unlike not just me, a lot of other international students were removed from the student union just because they were not able to meet the attendance due to their jobs and co-op jobs. And when I run next time, I'm going to work in the student union to make sure international students can stay in student union, and just if it means working with the timings, whatever it means. And there are certain reasons that they seem fair in their bylaws that you can
20 seconds.
But the international student jobs, they do not see it fair. So yeah, I think that's a good question, but I have good relations with all of them. I have a lot of testimonials coming from the SU speaker and a lot of other people in the student union that you'll be seeing in my campaign. So I have good relations and I know all of them. So yeah, thank you so much.
I have a sudden follow-up question just to what Mohit said. Since you are also in a co-op term right now, how will you act as a—
No, you cannot ask question in such, you cannot jump in between, sorry.
I'm so sorry, but if you could answer that.
We would skip to the next question, not right now. Syed Sajjad, next question, please.
All right. Just have a question for Charvi. This idea of having this union is, in my opinion, is really great. However, I was wondering if you guys even have any, far-fetched ideas of what kind of leverage are we going to have here, I know it's the beginning, we still haven't done anything. It's just you guys had the first meeting. I just want to know, do you have any, sort of concept of what you're going to do with this? Thank you.
Okay, I'll answer that question. So as told before, these kind of issues, I and Justin can't work on these issues alone. So that's why the union is formed, because we'll have a variety of a number of people who can put in their efforts and work on this. It's not only the external department that we're talking about at ISA, but all the people that will help us doing that, if that clears your questions.
I'm just wondering if there's any leverage that we could have here as a union in the future. That's my question.
I'll take on that. So I think you are understanding it in the literal sense of union. This is a student association. We are not going to threaten them that, with consequences to make them listen to us. I just hope that's not what you're thinking. This is a student group. This is a working group. Things are to be done in a certain way. So I don't understand the exact leverage word, what you're getting at.
Yeah, basically, the way union works with union, for example, workers and all around the world. For example, for the workers, they say that we don't work anymore. I'm not obviously saying something like that, but
concluding remarks for this question now.
Yeah, when we have this, sort of idea of union, what can we actually do? Like, what leverage do we have? That's basically what I want to know. Yeah, thanks.
I think Canada is a free country. I think one thing that we are famous for is that our government listens to us, they care for us. So I think advocacy is the sort of best plan of action towards anything in this country. I don't think we need to really, sort of leverage them or threaten them with everything. We are actually preaching to a government. We are preaching to the people of Canada. I don't think we can actually threaten them with something like this, or provide them with a leverage.
Thank you. Shanpreet, next question.
Yes, my question is actually to VP SL candidate, Nikita Adhikar. So Nikita in her speech mentioned that she wanted to do events where people from outside of the ISA or outside of the university could join. So my question is, when the ISA events are being funded from a fee that's being collected from our international undergraduate students, then how can we allow the benefit of that fee to go to the people or larger Edmonton community who are not even paying that fee?
Thank you for your question, Shanpreet.
Nikita is contesting for VP Student Life, not external. Sorry for that.
Student life, the question is same.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Sorry for interruption. Sorry.
Yes, so I do understand that the fee is been charged to people who are on campus, but I still think that we should not exclude students who are not on campus. So we would be planning some free events that would not take that amount, that fee allocated to them. So that's how we plan to include them, if that answers your question.
A follow-up. Are you saying that we will use a sponsorship money for that, or are you saying that we will even use a single dollar from student money to give an event to somebody who's not a student?
Yeah, so we would not use the ISAF fee, which is supposed to be from the students on campus. We would use the sponsorship money, if that answers your question again.
Thank you, Shankrit. Thank you, Nikita. Next, Jian Tong.
Thank you. I have a very simple question for VP external candidates on advocacy. So as an undergraduate chancellor, outgoing, I've been advocating for like anti-racism and campus security for a safe campus and against especially anti-Asian racism. I would like to know how these two set of candidates are going to forward with that advocacy that I carry through, how you're gonna do it in the future. That's my question.
Okay. Was that for Mohit or like both the VP external candidates?
Both of you, yeah. Thank you.
Do you want to go ahead with talking about our Agenda 5 that we want to promote representation and intersectionality that will eventually impact focusing on anti-racism issue?
I'll just add to that. This is actually I understand what Tim Tong is getting at, and I was in the council as well. I attended that meeting, and with everything, I think we have had this issue come up in the council multiple of times. That's why we added it to one of our agendas, that we want to ensure that all the marginalized groups or people of color, LGBTQ, everyone who's facing anything like that is part of the external department. Me, Charvi and me, both of us, we do not have enough experience to understand the struggles you guys go through or other people from our own community go through. So we want to have that representation in our department so we can actually take on that concerns and we can sort of advocate for those concerns to the university. And about the how, I think we have mentioned a couple of times that we have like a good sort of a relationship with SU. And Chris was asking earlier, I think this is something we can definitely use their support on. And yeah, definitely. If we get elected, I would definitely like to talk to you more about this and we can move forward from that there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that.
Great. So do I go next?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Or sir, so like this year as the Vice President Communications, I think I worked on like making sure everybody is represented, and that is a very important thing because ISA is representing people from 150 different countries. They're different, very, very different culture. They're very, very different thoughts. There are people who are marginalized. There are people from LGBTQ2S+ community, and then there are people of different, just like different places of the world, different genders and different places, right? So this is going to be my prime agenda again this year, and I worked on it last year as well with the board as Vice President Communication by conducting different events or social media posts and things of that sort. And I'm going to take on to it this year like even more vigorously and make sure everybody gets the respect that they deserve and gets represented by ISA fairly and no kind of like disproportionate representation. And I think some of the things like surveys and of course like making sure people of different kind of communities and countries are in ISA is going to be very important in that.
Thank you. Shanprit, next question.
Sure. The question is for the president candidate and VP internal candidate. So two separate questions. So for VP internal candidate, Ayman and Mubashir. So ISA from last 2 years had a priority of getting an office space on campus, but still I don't see that priority for which the last 2 years of ISAs have worked forward for being reflected in your agenda or your platform. So I just want to ask that something that's been worked by all the guests for last 2 years is not in your platform. So what are your plans on that? And the question for the president's candidate is, looking at the president's candidate, it talk a lot about advocacy and continuing the work that ISC is doing, but can the president candidate be a little bit more specific on what kind of advocacy? And to give a couple of examples, that would be again good to better understand his vision for the ISC in general.
I'm sorry, what of what space are you talking about? Can you repeat?
Office space on campus.
Working space.
Okay, that is not something that like our previous VP intern was like told us about. I think we were working on a food stall program from what I remember, but that was put on hold. But I'm not pretty sure about this office space which was being talked about in which was in our department. So I am not really aware of that. But if that has to be done, then we look forward to it if we can do it. But I'm not really sure.
Can I add on to it?
Yes,
So
please.
so our VPs were looking for the office space, but that was not prioritized at that moment because the iCard program was then made the top priority. But we do know that we are looking for an office space for IAC meetings, and we will look forward to it. Like we will look into it, and we will make it our priority to find it this year, so that we don't have to go for, like, we don't have to ask permission from different faculties to use their rooms for the board meetings and stuff.
Thank you. Kevin?
I would like to ask
For
there.
candidate is unanswered.
Oh, so sorry, so sorry. Dave, can you please
Yep.
answer?
Thank you, Chonpreet, and thank you everyone for the heated discussion that has been happening. I think it helps everyone to clarify what they are representing and what they want to do. And I'm going to hold all of you, whoever gets elected, accountable to what you said. And in case you don't get elected, I think you all have great ideas. And in my role as president, when I am elected, it'll be very important to take all those views and combine them. Just for everyone watching, whatever people are saying, it doesn't just get approved or it doesn't happen. It comes to the board and we all make a decision on it together. It goes to the council and then it's voted. And so international students always have a say in whatever all the candidates are talking about. In terms of the advocacy I want to do, over the previous 2 years, I was an engineering counselor at the Students' Union. I was a member of the Council on Students' Affairs at the GFC, which is the General Faculties Council. And there I have represented international students' issues to the university, and I've supported ISA in doing so as well. So issues related to online learning, lectures not being recorded. And so those are some issues that international students are facing then. It's not resolved completely right now. There's still some lectures which are not being recorded by professors. That's not just one step. So advocacy is related to that, and whatever new things come up with this pandemic and what international students are facing, that becomes a priority on my end. Apart from that, systemic racism, mental health issues such as Nigerian students
30
are
seconds.
facing. Thank you. What Nigerian students were facing when there was a crisis in their country. So we need to be careful about what's happening around the world. And I'll use all my departments to make sure what they have said, they're going to do it and make sure that the international student, the general international student is at the top of our minds and we represent all of them.
Thank you. Kevin, next question.
I would like to ask the president candidate there. And so what I've seen in the board of ISA, I feel like there's not much diversity. For example, I don't see people from, for example, South America or Europe representing their country in the board of ISA. And how would you attract more people from different countries? For example, China, who has like a big population in the University of Alberta, but in the board, it's only, I see Richard and I don't want to assume Yintong as well, but like we don't see a lot of Chinese students participating in ISA. So what do you want to do to attract more people from different countries to join the ISA?
Thank you, Kevin. I think that's a great question. So before I come to the board, I'll just like to mention that last year we implemented a cap on how many internal members we can have from a certain country. So in terms of university population of the international students we have 60%, which are Chinese students, then 30% Indian students, and then the other regions around the world. So if we look at that proportion, we should be having more students from those regions. But I think language barriers play a very big part in reaching out to the students. So our VP communications team will really help us with that. And then we want to increase our reach with WeChat. So those will be good places to get more people. But in terms of board, we cannot have that cap on who gets elected because it's a fair democratic process. Whoever wants to represent all international students, not just one region,
10 seconds.
we allow them. But what I would say is that we want to work with regional groups. We want to work with NCCG, the Chinese Students Scholars Association. We want to work with all these regional groups to ensure that their region's views are represented in ISA. And then just with our VP communications, external advocacy, we want to reach out. So if there's a language barrier, we want to make sure that we're having translations in Mandarin for the important things. But other than that, working with
I'd
regional
like
groups
to
is very important.
interrupt you there. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
We have only 2 minutes and we have only 2 minutes and just a few quick questions. We'll take the questions first, 10 seconds each and 20 seconds for the answers. Let's have the questions all first. Richard.
Hello, I have to answer the question from Chris. So for VP Finance, if I get elected, it's really important to build connections and find valuable sponsors. And it's all about like resources and sharing. So I would like to ask if the student union could share our sponsor informations or resources connections with us. That would be much easier for us.
Thank you. Next question, Aman, and then Mohit. We won't take much more questions now. Questions, Aman.
Hi, my question is directed to the VP external candidate, Mohit. So as you said that the LGBTQ and representation is your prime agenda, but it wasn't included in your intro, in your top 3 agendas. Why was that so?
Mohit, your question. Mohit, your question first.
Oh, so I ask question first?
Yep. Go on.
Sirs. So my question is to the vice president communication candidates. So as being the vice president communication, the role of the vice president communication is definitely communication, but it is more so handling and managing 25 to 30 different people who are of course handling their own coordinators. So they're directors, they're coordinators, and they're in total 25 to 30 people that the vice president communication has to manage. So in terms of management, what kind of experience and what kind of values do they hold to be able to manage the communications department? And it's the question to both.
Time for answers now. Time for answers now.
Oh, so I answer Chris' question?
Yeah, fast.
Okay, what was Chris' question? Chris, could you repeat your question? I forgot your question.
Is this like my question from the beginning?
Yeah, I think the one you asked me.
Oh, perfect. So just, collaboration with the Canadian Alliance of Students Associations and what you want to do there, and then what the SU can help for the Union of ISA.
Oh, no, it was not Chris. I'm so sorry. I think the individual who asked me question.
Yeah, it was my question. So my question was you said that LGBTQ and representation was the prime agenda, right? But it wasn't included in your top 3 agendas when you did your introduction.
Yeah, so for sure, the top 3 agendas are there. So it's for the ballot, because we have a very little space that we get in the ballot, 25 words to be exact, and it's not there. But there is a lot more to come that will be in my platform that's just not there in the 25-word agenda that I kind of got to come with you. But of course, this has been something I have been working on this year, and this is going to be something that I'm going to continue working this year, because this is something very important to me and very important to International Student Association and international students in general.